And we are back, and it is time for the ElseViews. This is the section where we talk about the TV shows, movies, video games, whatever is on our minds. Um, and I have 13 episodes I want to talk about. Um, because
Finally, I'm not going to be seen as a long-winded one.
no, well, it surprised me, with mine, with how quick it went through. Like I binged through the show in on Sunday. And that show is Voltron Legendary Defenders season 2. Um, we're picking up right after the right after or season 1 ended, and you have, it's still, everyone's still here, and or actually no, everyone gets separated, and so it goes. You go from them being separated. You have 3 episodes, I want to say, of them getting back together. And then you have them recuperating and gathering, into the next, um, to form an alliance with this other group of aliens, and then they fight. The final episode is them fighting. I'm blanking on the villain's name, but they're fighting the villain. And in there, I'm skipping a lot of stuff, but because a lot of it is hilarity ensues, and shit hitting fans and stuff like that. Incredible voice cast. I think Weird Al does a voice in one of the episodes.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think it's the. I'll have to double check. I actually tried to look up on Wikipedia while I was watching it, but I think it's the episode. It's episode 3, 2 or 3. It's the one with Hunk and Lance, underwater. He plays one of the crazy he plays one of the people who would wear a hat that's foil lined, because he feels like an alien's inclined to probe his butt or read his mind. Just basically, I'll just quote his whole song here. um but yeah, I mean, it's really good, really fun. God, Reese Darby steals just about every scene he's in that he talks about, or that he's in there voicing, with his character. But yeah, it's great. I think I found a new reason for loving this show, and it is with the how Reese Darby's character is essentially comic relief. It's because they can have a super serious moment and then do one little thing for comedy to not make it so doom and gloom, but be like, hey, it's a kid show. Remember, it's a kid show, sort of thing. And I actually really enjoyed that, because
Yeah, we watched the pilot at the beginning of last season, and I enjoyed it. It was just one of those things that the pilot was long. The pilot was not a short episode.
No, the pilot
and
was
so
like an hour long.
Felt longer than that. But yeah,
yeah.
we just never got back to it. But even my wife Erin was like, "This is actually pretty good." There's some funny dialogue in this. There's some good stuff happening here. So I don't think it's one of those things that she'd be mad if I was watching it and she happened to be in the room, which is always nice. But it is solid. The thing to me is, like, I grew up with the original Voltron, and I have no problem with them updating it and making changes, and certainly making it more serious. But what I remember of season 2 of Voltron is, like, you were there that first season, you were like, oh, this kicks ass, and all these guys and like the lions and shit. But by the time the season ended, we had already lost Sven, who was the I think the blue lion, or maybe the black lion. No, it was the blue lion.
Blue lion, and
he had the black
lion
outfit, but it's the blue lion. Like, the outfits didn't match up which lions they were in, which I thought was weird. But Sven, like, disappears, and so Allura took over as one of the pilots. So that's one thing that I would expect to be happening by now. And my other expectation is season 2. Shouldn't we have the fucking vehicles the other Voltron that's made up of the 15 vehicles, like the land, sea, and air teams, because that's what they did in the first one, and boy, that messed people up. The storyline,
doing
yeah, the storyline of it was really interesting, because they were different shows. Like there was a Lion thing that they were making the Voltron for America, and it was one show, and then there was the Voltron that was the vehicles, that was another show, but they tried to make them interrelated because they all combined into giant robots. There was actually a third Voltron that was supposed to be 3 robots that combined together. I remember that from the toys.
that 3 robots combined to make a bigger robot.
But the only ties between Voltron, the Lion Force, and Voltron, the automobiles, was that Pidge from the Lions was the brother of Chip from the vehicle force, which is like, but that was it. It was kind of a weird thing, but they go into a story about Chip where he's like waiting for a letter from his family and waiting for a letter from Pidge. He's not sure if people are hiding stuff from him. The story was much deeper on the vehicle stuff, but there was just too many goddamn characters. But I'd still like to see that happen. Not like them dedicate a whole season to it, but I'd like to see something with those other characters and with the vehicle Voltron like show up at some point. That's just like an Easter egg thing that just seems too cool to not do something.
All I'm gonna say, because you are hitting on a lot of things that, like, I'm like, oh damn, he's really close. Because like, for example, season 2 with Sven leaving, you ain't wrong.
I tend to do that. I tend to think things too much and not enjoy the shows as much as I should.
No, it's still enjoyable. And I'm saying that with the hopes that people aren't like me and went to Wikipedia and did the cross-examination of the character, who he was voiced by in the 80s, voiced by in the 90s, voiced by in the 2011 reboot, and then voiced by in Legendary Defenders. Because you ain't wrong, and you spoiled season 3 a little bit, I think. But you're starting to see this. That was one of the things that I forgot with season 1 is that was Pidge's brother. And Pidge, and they brought it in one episode. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. She's looking for her brother, and stuff like that. But I honestly think you will enjoy the show. I mean, especially because not especially, but because you like Voltron so much. But then, like, I watched this and I still can relate it to Korra and Avatar because it had the same animation team that did Avatar: Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, and I think the same showrunners.
Yeah, and it is a beautifully animated show, from what I saw of the first season.
But yeah, it's I'm curious, as you if you do continue, you do start watching Voltron again, comparing it to the older show, because for me, I didn't watch the older show. I always looked at it in the, well, that's freaking, I got Transformers, why would I want Voltron, sort of thing. And it was never on, when I was, here. It was Transformers. So I'm like, all right, there's only Transformers, there's nothing else.
Yeah, my day it was there was Transformers, there was Voltron, there was Silverhawks, there was Thundercats. Those were the Mega Four. And Silverhawks was kind of like secondary to Thundercats. But it was the same animation type deal and the same storytelling. But then you had the other cartoons that were just like filler in the afternoon while you're waiting to get to the good ones. Like you had GoBotch, which was just the shit can version of Transformers. And you had the Filmation Ghostbusters, which was just awful. But just waiting to get to these shows. And then later on, they started bringing in more anime crossover stuff like Tranzor Z and things. but nothing compared to the storytelling of these shows, you know, and when they
Yeah.
were trying to put this stuff together and make this happen. Uh, Voltron is always going to have a big place in my heart.
Yeah. All right. So, Corey,
Yeah,
what's it like in
so
Philadelphia right now?
it's sunny, but it's always sunny in Philadelphia. So, all right. So, do you watch South Park?
I've seen all of 3 episodes.
Really? Okay, crap. When South Park started, like South Park was a big freaking deal for the first few seasons, especially. And they got the movie and everything, and it was like South Park has been on for a long time.
Yeah.
And most people I know at this point don't really watch it, but it's still on. And anybody who does watch it, or anytime I like wind up popping in here and there and seeing like a new episode of South Park, it's like, oh, nothing else is on. I'm going to watch this rerun of something from this season of South Park. It's still really good. It's still well written. It's still well produced. It's as strong as it's probably ever been. You know, obviously we have our high points of the seasons and things, and Cartman feeding the chili to the kid, and like I made you eat your parents, or Mecha Streisand if you want to go way back classic. You just kind of wonder, can South Park retain how good it is, and how long can it do that? Always Sunny is sort of the same thing. I didn't realize how many seasons Always Sunny had been on. It's on season 12. Like, there's not a lot of episodes. It always seems to like come in and go out really fast, and by the time that you're just like, oh, Always Sunny is back on, great, and you watch a few episodes and then it's gone again. So maybe that's part of it. But they kind of wait until they're ready to put shit out there, when they're gonna put it together and have it done, because it's the cast that kind of runs it. And I feel like that's a strength of it. Now, other than the fact that it's been moved to FXX, XXXXXQ with a silent T, it's retained what it's always been. You know, with the addition of Danny DeVito, which was, I think maybe was the 3rd season or something.
Yeah, he was very early on.
Yeah, it was pretty early, but it was still like he wasn't there originally.
Yeah.
It really found its groove, and it stuck it out. And I was just like, okay, but the last couple of seasons I remember watching it, and I'm like, some of the episodes might have not been as strong, but it's like that any season. You get some good ones, and you get some great ones, and you get some okay ones. So I came into the new season of Sunny, which started this month, and I was just like, well, let's see how it's going to be, if it's going to be good, because we know that the actress from the show is moved over, and she's on the Mick now on Fox. And so is she going to be as invested in this? Is it going to be the same level, or is everybody like getting famous, going off their own directions? Charlie is obviously doing a lot of stuff. I was just rewatching Horrible Bosses 2 the other day. He's super funny in that. So can they bring their A game to this show that was where they got their start at this point? And holy shit, the first episode of the season is the gang turns black. And they're watching The Wiz on TV. There's an electrical surge. Everybody blacks out. They wake up the next day, and they look in the mirror, and they've all turned into African Americans. But it's not just that. Like, that itself, you could already tell they're going to be able to mine the fuck out of this, and it's going to be a great episode. But it's not just that, because they were watching The Wiz. It's also a fucking musical. So they're going around and they're trying to figure out what happened, how do they fix it, where do they go. They're getting accused of crimes, and is this a hate crime? What is? I feel like the cops are coming at us because we're black. And DeVito's character wants to say the N-word because it's the only chance he's ever going to get to say it. He's like, no, you can't say that. It doesn't matter. But it is probably the funniest episode I've seen since like the introduction of the Nightman songs, like Dayman and Nightman.
David.
It was so fucking good, and the music was good, and it got caught in your head, and it just kept going. And then it's like, okay. And then the second episode was they go to a water park, and it's one of the episodes where every kind of breaks off into their own groups. And so there's a Charlie story with Frank. There's a D story with Mac, and then Dennis has got his own story where he's running grifts trying to get women to sleep with him and stuff. But then this kid winds up grifting him, and so they team up and they're like grifting the whole park. And that was phenomenal. And then the third episode was okay. It was like they put cameras into Charlie and Mac's mom's house where they're both living. They wanted to do it to see if like they were living okay together, if one of them was being abusive to the other one. But then Dennis decides to put laugh tracks to it and turn it into a sitcom because Dennis likes taping people. And it's a good, solid episode and plays off of a lot of things that have been established in the characters before. But that's the thing, is you get the comfortable ones, and it's okay because you just kind of love the characters and you love what they do at this point. But those first two episodes were so good, and especially The Gang Turns Black. It's like, I don't know that the show can do something bad. I don't know if they can make bad TV at this point. They're experts.
Yeah. Now, when with The Gang Turns Black, is it blackface or
no? No, you see them walking around and they're themselves, and they're singing and they're doing all the little dances and stuff. But in the mirror, they see who they look like. And Dennis is a large guy, and Charlie is a kid. So you got to imagine Charlie like walking around saying Charlie shit. And he's playing with a train, like the cops, when they bring him in, they give him a toy train to play with. And Charlie's like, fucking hey, I'm playing with this toy train. And he loves it.
Look at this train.
And they all think, well, yeah, because he's like 8 and shit. It just nails it down perfectly.
No, this is one of the shows that, I mean, like you asked earlier, I never really got into South Park. I don't know why exactly. But I got in very quick to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think because it was partnered up with the League.
Right.
And and I was like, okay, watching the League, and I like, It's Always Sunny. It was like one of them led to the other. But I think I came in on It's Always Sunny during season 2 or 3.
It would have been at least 3 or 4, because before, when it first came out, I don't even think it had a show that went with it. And then there was a season where it had Testes, was the other show that it shared the hour with. And Testes was really funny, but did not last long.
Yeah,
it took them a while to find something that would stick.
And I know, because I know it was after Danny DeVito joined in season 2 when I started watching the show, but it then became one of these where like I just sort of fell out with it. But
yeah, and that's what I get.
Just hearing how you're talking about this, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to try. I'm gonna have to watch. It's Always Sunny again. Especially,
that's exactly what I mean, though. Is like it's at the point of like, oh, Always Sunny is back, but do I care at this point? Is it still gonna be good? I mean, from the start of this season so far, yes. Do you feel like they've done everything they can? Is like, oh, here's where we're gonna get our cricket episode, or whatever. Yeah, maybe, but they can still be innovative. They can still be some of the funniest shit on TV. They are all incredibly talented motherfuckers.
And I find it hilarious that for one of the seasons, Rob McKelly or McElhaney, he was sitting there, and after they wrapped, he was like, what would be funny for Mac, for a season? What if he got fat and gained weight?
Well, you know why he did that?
Why?
Because his wife, who plays Sweet D, was pregnant, and he got fat to make her feel better.
I didn't hear that. I just heard from like the Conan, I think an interview on Conan, where he's like, I just sort of thought, what would be funny for Mac? Well, he just gets really fat.
Yeah, which
and
was pretty good.
yeah,
But what a harsh thing to do to your body. Like, it always amazes me when actors do that when they fluctuate their weight. Like, some people go
yeah,
to big extremes, like Christian Bale doing Batman and then doing the mechanic or the machinist, I think. And then
machinist, then Batman, I think.
and then going on and doing things like the one with Jennifer Lawrence and Amy Adams and Bradley Cooper, American Hustle.
Yeah, American Hustle, or Matthew McConaughey doing that for Dallas Buyers Club in the Magic Mike,
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah, I mean
But doing it for comedy, that's balls.
yeah, but no, that's just cool. So yeah, when is It's Always Sunny on?
I believe it's on Thursday nights now on FXX at
Yeah,
around 10 o'clock.
yeah, but no, that's cool, and you got me to want to start watching it again.
Yeah, and if you're an Amazon Prime viewer, we've got a link in our notes here where you can go and watch the episodes on Amazon. I don't know if they're part of Prime or not, but you can at least watch them per episode.
Yep.
And when the season's done, you'll be able to get the whole season.
All right, and we will be right back.